Alright, in this tutorial we're going to go over how to factor out a monomial term from within a polynomial. So you're looking at terms that have at least two within a polynomial. Could be binomial, trinomial, or just four or more in a polynomial, but you're going to take the monomial out of the polynomial. So once you find your GCF, or your greatest common factor of a polynomial, you then have to divide that term out of the polynomial, because factoring is finding a common division number that when you divide you get a whole number left over within that polynomial. So within this polynomial, 30t to the third plus 15, we need to figure out the greatest common factor between each of our two terms. Now what we could do is look at the numbers individually, create factor trees to determine what the greatest common factor between them is. So factors of 30 are 3 and 10. Factors of 10 are 2 and 5. Then factors of 15 are 3 and 5. So of 30, we get 2 times 3 times 5. Of 15, we get 3 times 5. So the common factors between 30 and 15, 3 is in common and 5 is in common. So when you multiply them together, you get 15. Now we also have to be paying attention to our variables. 30t to the third power has 3 t's, but 15 does not have any. So we cannot take any t's out of the 15 since they don't exist. So our GCF is 15. And when that is factored out, you then write down all of the factors that are left over or divided from that term. So 15 divided from 30t to the third leaves you with 2 and then all of your 3 t's. Then 15 divided out from your 15 leaves us with a positive 1. Even though you're taking everything out of the second term, you still have to have a placeholder or something that's left over. And if you think about it in terms of division, 15 divided by 15 will give you that 1. Now something a little bit more complicated, or something with more terms, 40c to the 9th, 20c to the 7th, 30c, and 10. So you could be taking your factor trees, or as you start to get a little bit more familiar with your factors, you could start to recognize that there is a 10 in common between all of these numbers. So we're going to divide out a 10. Notice that I'm not taking a c out, even though there are 9 c's in the first term, 7 c's in the second term, 1 in the third one. There's nothing in here. So you cannot take a c out of something if it is not in common between all 4 of your terms. So when you divide 40c to the 9th by 10, you're left with 4, then all of your c's. 20c to the 7th divided by 10 is 2. 30c divided by 10 is 3c, and then again, 10 divided by 10, you're left with a 1. The signs between all of these numbers and monomials within your polynomials still stay the same, unless you are dividing out by a negative. Then, of course, you think of that as a division problem. Positive divided by a negative would give you a negative. So just think of it as dividing out your GCF between the polynomial, and everything that is left over after you divide it is what gets left inside the parentheses.